Should I do this? So you know, you know it's starting again.
And you said you've had them together a little bit every day. That went fine, no issues there. Have they seemed interested in each other at all, or?
Not really.
He seems more like, you know, hey, let's play or whatever.
Yeah.
He just doesn't really want much to do with it.
Well, like I said, all in all, I was very pleased with just seeing their interactions just now and everything. So that was like following suit.
I would like to do a little bit of a social with them again, get them around some other dogs and see how they interact.
That's it. This is definitely more.
This is very good right now. I mean, this is they're curious. It's not like anything bad by any means. This is good. I want to see them start to move around and engage and feel more comfortable to interact. Oh, watch the leash there.
Old pet shepherd.
Yeah. They always.
Is she a puppy?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 5 or 6 months, something like that. They're like, that's enough interaction for us.
I feel like he's just okay.
So here's the funny thing, right? So when we were at the house a couple weeks ago, and he did like the paw thing, like I think he laid by his paw and he kind of did the right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a slightly more intense version, but it's not that much different than what that dog just did right there. You know what I mean?
Not really. Yeah.
But because we've seen how under all the wrong circumstances it can progress into something really problematic, we look at it like it's something really bad inherently just by itself. But it's not, right? And like I said, as you see repeatedly situations like this dog has now set, what, 7 boundaries over the course of the last 20 minutes that we've had it out, right? And like an altercation hasn't happened because we have the environment set up for success right now. You start realizing that it's very normal for some of these dogs to do that. And you don't want to be scared of it inherently. You just want to be mindfully aware of making sure that you're not putting them in a place where they're going to do that and something bad is going to happen.
What's a boundary growl and when it's a problem? Because, like, she's on, you know, she's super scared.
Yeah.
And so, like, literally, the dog, like that, she'd be like, all right,
I get it.
into the crates, we're done.
Sure.
Show's over.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you know, to some degree, it's like they're dogs, they're gonna bark.
100%. Yeah.
So how do we get over our fear?
The short answer is just by repeatedly seeing it not turn into something, right? I mean, that's really in a nutshell, right? Like our dogs, like they set boundaries with each other constantly, right? Over all sorts of little things, you know? And, you know, sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller. It's just, you know, but at this point they have like a pretty good relationship amongst each other and a good dynamic amongst each other where it's not problematic, right? Now, I think it's important to know that it's not so much the boundary setting that's the problem, it's when they set boundaries over things that we can control that's the problem. So what I mean by that is, let's say, you know, Bingo's sniffing one of them here, right? And it's getting a little too pushy with it, and that dog gives a little bark or a growl or something like that to get Bingo to go away, right? That's fine, nothing crazy is happening, there's nothing really for them to compete over in that moment, whatever it may be, right? Now let's say we add something like artificial into it, like a toy, right? Or food, or a treat, or something like that, where they're setting a boundary over something that both of them want to compete over. That's where you have a higher probability of it turning into an issue, right? So we just make sure we manage those types of scenarios, and we don't put them in a position where they're going to compete over those things in the first place, right? So we take charge of the big situations that generally would turn into a problem if they were to try to set boundaries over it.
But like in the scenario, like where they were on the steps and
Yep.
there was nothing around to
Yeah, that, like we talked about, I mean, that one is, you know, the hindsight is 20/20 with all that kind of stuff, but that really was just I mean, there was no, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of like you weren't even ready for the situation to happen, right? No. It's not like, let's get the dogs together. They're still in a place where it's like, they're still muzzled around each other. The muzzles weren't, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many different dynamics at play, right? Where that one, it really just almost doesn't count, right? Because you just weren't at that stage yet, right?
We have no tools.
Yeah.
At all. No e-collars, no leashes, no.
And we hadn't prepped the dogs for that scenario, you know?
Like that wouldn't happen now, just
And even that, it's not so much a matter of running down the stairs that's even the problem, you know? It's just, like, that's like that situation was like the equivalent of like you're learning how to run marathons, but like you're still in the walking stages, right? You're still conditioning yourself to walk it, right? And then you just throw yourself right into the hardest possible scenario without any preparation and skills established, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Like, they're able to be successful with each other under supervision, and they're in the process of getting comfortable even being around each other, right? Like the last time we did this, for example, they basically just laid down and just stayed in one spot for the entire time. Like, they weren't even sniffing each other or anything like that, right? Because they were uncomfortable. And now they're still obviously a little uncomfortable with each other, but they're comfortable enough to start sniffing and interacting. And in the parking lot, I mean, they were willingly just going up to each other and passing each other and sniffing each other and all of that kind of stuff, right? So we need to see them hit a point where they're like totally chill, right? They're in situations like this where they're right next to each other, they're right next to you, there's another dog there, right? And nothing happens, and they get comfortable in those types of situations. And we haven't needed to correct for anything so far today. I mean, they're just chilling, and that's kind of the stage we want to see them in, is that they just have success, right? And continue to get more comfortable because they've learned their boundaries.
Finally, Junior realized that he can't do anything and he went under the table. Should I have corrected Gunner for not respecting it?
Not necessarily, right? Again, like, I want them to, because the other side of it is, let's say his threshold is really fine, right? And he, anytime he's uncomfortable, defaults to gross neck, gross neck, gross neck, gross neck. Even though that's not necessarily inappropriate of him to do, I want him to realize he's got alternatives, right? If he gets stressed out that this guy comes and sits next to him, he could go somewhere else, because he's not really doing anything wrong, you know? So you don't want to fall, you want to advocate and you want to set boundaries and help the dogs understand the boundaries, but at the same time, you don't want to be the helicopter parent that is like, at any sign of stress, stepping in and being like, he's stressed about what you're doing. Like right now, if he were stressed by this, being like, no, you need to go away, no, you need to go away, right? Because then he never learns how to tolerate that, you know? So it's kind of a fine line with some of it, where I want to let them set those boundaries. Like, I've let this dog set a bunch of boundaries and I haven't done anything yet so far, but if they continued to persist and not respect those boundaries and it started getting excessive, then I would step in. You just got to keep seeing stuff like this, right? Like stuff that does make you a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's not debilitating, but it, you know, it just makes me a little uncomfortable, right? And see it go well, right? And then have it happen again and see it go well. And then have it happen again and see it go well. I think we might have talked about it a little bit last time, but like, you know, hypothetically, like, you know, we could play the game all day long of like, well, like, if me or Bridget or something like that owned these dogs, would they get to a place where they were doing that? Maybe, I don't know. You know, like, it's dependent on the dogs, obviously. But, you know, even if they were capable of doing that, which honestly, I think they probably are under the right circumstances, you know, some people hit a point where it's like, I am okay with maintaining X amount of management forever. You know what I mean? And that's totally okay. You know, if you could get them together for, you know, a handful of hours a day and take them for walks and things like that, and then you got to have a little bit of separation outside of that, and that makes you feel secure and comfortable, like, there's really no issue with that. So, kind of, you know, like I said, it really is just work at your comfort level. What do you think? You got anything to tell them?
Keep doing what you're doing. Hey guys, it's Bridget, and I'm here to talk this week about kind of finding the right fit with your dog trainer, and being able to kind of emotionally connect with your clients, which is a really big part of this industry, is learning the people and learning how the people work so you can better help them with their dogs. An experience that I had recently was a woman that loved her dogs very much, had recently had a pretty traumatic experience regarding separating a dog fight and accidentally being bit while separating. And our first couple sessions were a little bit emotional for her as she was kind of reliving the trauma of working with her dog. And she had asked me at one point, had anything like this ever happened to you? And it definitely has, where I've been in the crosshairs of a dog fight and been bit, and I actually had to go to the hospital and spend about a month healing and recovering from a dog bite. In that moment, I really felt like my client and I had an emotional connection based on our past experiences. And I feel like it's really essential to make these connections with people, as you're more than just a dog trainer. You're there to listen to some of their issues about their life and what could be contributing to their toxic or uneven relationship with their dog. So moving forward, I always suggest, if you're going to hire somebody to help train your dog, make sure that they can kind of empathize with how you're feeling about things and not just be one of the million clients they have. So one thing that I really like about myself now that I'm an adult is that I'm a very sensitive person. And I believe that really helps me connect and understand what somebody's going through. And when I can feel their emotions, we're both more motivated to find a solution. And that has been just a really big saving grace in my career as a dog trainer. So find somebody that understands you, find somebody that's willing to work with you, and find somebody that's not going to disregard your feelings toward a situation. Also, it's really important to remember that your dog trainer was also once a dog owner. So what led us to be dog trainers is experiencing a lot of the issues that you could be experiencing with your dog. So I try never to have people feel judged or micromanaged in our training sessions. And you shouldn't feel like you're getting that from your trainer either, where it's less drill sergeant and more collaborative of what is the best interest of your dog and how can we help you achieve that. Well, it's only been a week since our last session, so I don't expect her to be absolutely perfect. And like we said last week, we have to acknowledge the fact that she may very well react, and we're still in training. So we're still working on a muscle to have her be able to pass other dogs in a really respectful manner. I want you to feel comfortable and confident walking her. So we'll see if we can't get to the bottom of something we could do to adjust what we've been seeing. That too. Good. Good. Come. Good. Good. We'll let her settle down after the dogs pass a little bit. Usually, I did not. Come. Good girl. Good girl. You like him too?
this would be like super close for me, but
Sure. Yeah.
she does get upset. I mean, shit. Like, you know how we're walking over the bridge?
Yeah.
The sidewalks on the other. Good girl, Maze. Good girl.
There you go, girlfriend.
There you go. Wanna try it there? She's not listening.
These dogs might take her by surprise. Good girl. One's noisy. Good job. There we go. Good.
Good job, Maizzy. Where's this lady thinking? She thinks the world of you over to her head.
Yeah. Not even paying attention. It's okay, we'll chill out here. Let Maze get some good pass-bys.
That phone, she wouldn't pay attention to the phone. She'd got
Yeah. It's hard to tell if anybody here has dogs. I don't see any.
We passed it
Yeah.
before. Can we go?
Yep, we can go.
Let's go. Good job, Maze. Safer or?
She might, but she also is realizing that her success rate of getting really, really over the top is not working. It's very reinforcing to react because they feel like they made the dog go away. Their chest is puffed out. They're like, oh, yeah. And she's realizing there's a pretty big consequence to some of that unruly behavior. Not that you weren't doing things or trying, it's just maybe we just need a little bit of adjustment with this new leash.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's the friend she didn't like before.
Yep.
There's something about him, she said.
She's, the other one, she didn't really look at him.
Yeah.
She is staring at that. Let's
Perfect.
Go. Let's go.
They're like, what the heck's going on? Perfect, Maze.
Good job, Maizzy. Let's go. Let's go.
She's like, I thought that I was done with that lady. Why is she in my house?
And Gary's like, this is the greatest day of my life. So, yeah,
That's really good.
They've been doing good. So,
yeah.
especially when she's been getting home.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Hi, Steven.
no?
How's it been going with them?
Good. They've actually been pretty well.
Yeah.
We took them to my mom's house.
Oh, yeah, we took both of them.
My mom was very impressed by her.
Yeah.
They both did really well though.
Yeah.
Her mom was actually able to pet Bella,
Yeah. Nice. Feeling a
not-
little bit more comfortable.
and she was like running past her, like even to the point of like
Yeah.
brushing her leg and stuff. Bailey's fine, but she was.
Well,
What they noticed-
last time she was there, she was like running and jumping all over the furniture, jumping, like getting to people's faces. Like she
Yeah.
was like a maniac. She was high energy. She was running and
Yeah.
getting into everything, but she wasn't jumping and like didn't get on the couch until like someone said like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say the highs is obviously taking her over there.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Nice.
I mean, this is awesome. We've been doing this like either when I'm coming home or she's coming home. I mean, when we release them, they still get a little hyper, obviously, but we've been correcting like the jumping
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Bailey knows like to pause. Like when she goes to jump, she knows to stop. Bella, even though she's like you could tell because she just is so excited, she would like want to,
Yeah.
and she like knew. So then she would like do like a little gallop like next to us.
Which
but
is like cute, and I
and
guess
fine, yeah.
fine, because she's
Yeah.
not jumping up on us. She just
Sure.
kind of like
Gallops next
like
to
a
you.
dolphin coming out
Yeah.
of the water.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, otherwise if she could get used to people, she'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Sure.
I mean, otherwise they listen to everything. Their walks are great.
Nice.
Their places are good. She's way too smart, so if
Yeah.
we, for some reason, don't have a collar on, she's
Sure.
still reactivity like to the TV.
Yeah.
But she knows like she shouldn't.
Yeah.
But she's like, you don't have a collar on me.
Yeah,
So
it'll be like we're charging them, and she sees
Yeah.
the dog and barks. It's like, dude, place. Bella,
Oop, she faked you out.
no. Bella,
Place.
So this is what you're typically seeing when she's like kind of panicking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bella, place. Come on. Come on, place. Good girl. Come on, place.
Bella, place. No. Bella, come on. Place.
Good.
Good girl. So she's very much like, where do I go? Can I lay here? Can I lay here? Can I lay here? And what's important in that is I'm giving her a couple seconds in between the corrections, so I'm not like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
But I'm marking with no, giving her a little bit to see if she's committed or not committed to figuring it out. And if she does not, I'm marking with no, giving her correction. Again, waiting maybe 10 seconds, see if she's committed. And we're actually about at a 60 before she responded to the level. I think, like you do mention that you do have people over from time to time. So
We're
it's,
trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's really good to practice just having her. Next time, if she were to perform that again, I'd want to see a reduction in her confusion with the command. Where the first time I say it, she's instantly understanding what I want her to do, and she's gotten so much better at it. Like as you said,
Yeah, but that is like what happens when like she just.
she's
Even if
just
it's like
lost.
yeah, she just yeah.
Sure.
And then so it's just kind of like so like random in a sense, like because it'll be just us and she does that exact same thing.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just kind of like
She's like,
It's
where do I
almost like
go?
when she's like nervous, like she gets
Sure.
corrected, and
Or
she's like,
excited.
oh my God.
Yes, yeah. Because in dog training, we want to make sure, one, we're being clear enough, and I just kind of stand near your bed so she has no confusion. I was kind of doing that. And then we have to look at the motivation side. Was that correction motivating enough to fix her behavior? Okay, come on, Bailey. Come on, Bailey. Okay. Hi, Bailey. She knows nobody's going to mess with her over here. Nobody's going to come and crawl on the bed and kiss her. So when I say okay, I'm not expecting her to do anything. So it's okay if we say okay and she's like, I'm going to chill out here.
Yeah.
It's,
Understandable.
yeah. A
Especially
good
when-
behavior. She's removing herself when she feels uncomfortable rather than trying to, like, people force themselves upon her, and then I'm sure she would get really nervous.
yeah.
Like we discussed, just genetically, she's a little bit more of a nervous dog.
Yeah.
And we can't really change the core of who a dog is.
Yeah.
So while we can get her to listen and obey with people around, and we should really focus on that, I don't really care so much if she loves everybody. She just has to be able to respect the boundaries that we set.
Yeah.
And she's doing that.
She's been nervous, Nelly.
Yeah, it just sucks.
And I think having more people in her life may build her confidence up with that. And then working, obviously if she would come to us, we'd have a set of skilled staff that's able to work with her, and we're all speaking the same language that we've learned in training, so it should transfer over pretty easily.
Oh, good girl.
You see the kids.
Yeah, that's Grandma and Grandpa. I mean, it's one of
Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched them a couple times.
Sure.
Yeah, she's watched for a wedding here, and he's watched for a wedding at his house.
Okay.
At his house is when she wouldn't come in. Here, I think she was like challenging to get in, but she was able to like coax her
Yeah.
in. But she kind of was just like.
Yeah.
She was being a pain in the.
And
Okay.
then she went to his house to help get her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I got her in at his house, or we
Oh,
wrangled
okay,
her.
we got kind of rain.
Yeah.
Raining, getting dark.
And so
Sure.
I'll come around, no big deal.
Okay.
You know.
I think a lot of it, like, will be her developing some confidence around other people. But one thing that I was just thinking of as we're talking is if you guys did have to care for her, like when they have the baby and they're at the hospital, I would almost consider leaving a leash on her in her kennel so she's really easy to get out in and out. We'll do that at the facility. If we have a dog that's come in and has some issues with handling, we'll leave like a chain leash on so they can't eat it and they can't chew through it, because I'm sure with what you
She would,
described, she'll
yeah.
chew through a cloth leash. So I'd get yourself a metal chain leash and kind of have it out of the kennel. Sometimes we'll even use grabbers. If the dog is acting aggressively, we'll use the grabber to take the leash out, hand it, and then once we have the leash, we have more physical control over her. And we can get her in and out, do the basics, pottying, coming back inside without like having to chase her.
With a leash on. Take
Yes,
Her out
yeah.
with the- I want her to get to the point where she'll sit
Yeah,
down next to me and
that's
put her
all
head
I
on my
was.
lap.
Yeah.
Even that would be a miracle.
Yeah, I mean,
that will be a miracle.
looking at that, I would have our goals be more that we can kind of handle her rather than like affection, because that
Right.
may be our love language. As humans, we're very affectionate. We like hugging and kissing, but for her, she may not like
Exactly.
that.
Right.
So,
I understand that.
and I get like I think we can get her like. I felt like her and I specifically had a very tumultuous relationship right at first. She was very nervous and apprehensive of me. But when we went in and she's only known structure with me, I've seen a huge improvement in her behavior. And I've never had the relationship, like I wouldn't feel comfortable going over to her bed and approaching her and like petting her face right now. It's just not something I would do because I don't need to cause conflict with her.
Right.
So as you guys are handling her, I would just say, can we get the basics down? Can we get her in and out of the crate? Can we get her to go to the bathroom? I'd have her lead her outside when you do care for her. Lead her in the yard, never drop the leash, because when we drop the leash,
Walk
she's
her
out.
To go to the bathroom.
Yes,
and, okay,
yes,
and then
exactly.
Take her back in it. No,
Yep.
put her back in.
Put her back in the crate,
But
or
see,
put her on the place, hang out with her here. So just getting like the very basics down, I think will be super helpful. And with the right precautions and putting these things into place, I don't see why she would, unless you're really pushing on her boundaries and making her uncomfortable. And you're not going to do that.
I'm not gonna do
You
that,
know,
no.
we don't want to make her feel uncomfortable, nor do I, as the stranger that was starting to train her. So we took things really slowly, and I'm fully confident that she can listen to me. And just kind of assessing the situation, how we would go about that. So I don't know what your comfort level is with handling her. But I'm more than happy to help guide you guys through that if you'd like to. I'd suggest like you guys, before the baby comes, come over a couple times and work with Bella specifically. So I want to see that we have a leash on her. You're able to get her in and out of the crate. You handle her completely, and they're here to assist if you need to. But getting her in and out, getting her out into the yard, never dropping that leash, because the more we drop the leash and give her that distance, and she's realizing, oh, I can snap and bite and create space, she's going to be successful at that. So we don't want to drop the leash because that's an added conflict we don't need to meet right now. So to keep things as easy and smooth as possible, how she's going to get more comfortable with you is realizing you're not going to take her BS. So not having her control you or starting to really be able to show those aggressive behaviors. I wouldn't say she's an aggressive dog. I think she's fearful. And she acts out of her fear because she wants to create distance. So that could be like evading us. I don't think she's ever showed her teeth at anybody, but
And it was just, so then like even what she knew from beginning was then all of a sudden gone within days
yeah.
of already losing everything she already knew.
Sure. So her life was turned upside down a little bit, and we were trying to maybe introduce something to her, and she realized that, oh, barking kind
Now,
of
do you
works
think
here.
Yeah.
she was brought up bad, or what do you think?
It could be
created that.
really a combination of things. It's likely genetics. So shepherds naturally can be a very anxious breed, and they're a working line breed. So they come from being able to have a job to do, and now we live in 2023, and they're pampered and they don't have jobs to do anymore. So
Hers was to play with toys.
yeah. So genetically, she could just be predisposed to anxiety, just like people do, and that could be kind of getting the best of her. We can still work through that, and we can still have her thrive, but it could be like a little bit of her unstable past too. But I would never say like because of her past or because of what might have happened to her, is the way she is.
Okay.
It's likely just genetics,
Okay.
because dogs live in the moment. They don't think about the past. Oh, hi.
And then
What's
Yeah.
so funny, 'cause I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we did, of course, the opposite. Instead of exposing her, we underexposed. Or we found that she's better when people aren't here. So then what we did is we took her.
Well,
Two.
isn't that easy? That's the easy way
Yeah.
out crowded, ain't it? That's
Exactly.
the easy way. You just keep them away from everybody. That way you don't
Yeah.
deal with it. I mean,
And that's what a lot of people do because they have to, because they don't want to put their dogs or anyone else at risk,
Right.
that they end up avoiding these situations. But push comes to shove, eventually these situations are going to come up, and we have to learn how to have the dog be able to handle that rather than avoid it. I'm very happy with her right now because she doesn't seem stressed. Both of them are relaxing into the position, and this is kind of the sessions we'd want to do when people are over, realizing that we're going to advocate for them, and we're not going to allow, like, if you had a friend come over and go, oh, I love dogs, and you're like, no, and they're like, no, but dogs love me, don't worry about it, and you're like, no. Yeah,
well, that's the way I am, but
Sure.
I didn't do that with her.
of course,
And I realized
you
that.
kind of respected her
Right,
boundaries.
Yeah, right.
And I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never.
We're kind of worried about her the way she is now. How about a baby? You turn your back. Was she
Exactly.
gonna grab him? What's she gonna
Yeah.
do? See, that I'm concerned about that.
Yeah,
He's
and
very
that's very, very valid for you to be
Yeah.
concerned about that, because dogs hurt children and bite
Right.
children all the time. So we have to be really careful. So months leading up to the baby coming, I would make sure this command is excellent, that there's no circumstance where they're allowed to leave place. So whether that's if we're having guests over and somebody gets up suddenly, or we're watching a sports game and people are
'Cause
clapping and yelling.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah, we don't want her to go with all this unpredictability, that all these variables, people, the baby, when the baby starts walking, and she's picking and choosing when she's uncomfortable enough to come off the bed.
So if we got up and moved right now, she would stay in
Yes.
place? Okay.
Yes,
that's
yeah,
good.
and we can test that out in a little bit here, but
She probably will today for sure.
yeah, I'll be holding her accountable, meaning the correction that she's receiving from the e-collar is motivating enough that she's not gonna choose to come off the bed.
Okay.
So the answer is just staying on the bed.
And I believe if we walk that way, she'd be fine.
Sure.
Because we're not close to her. We're not invading her space, so she wouldn't move. I'm sure of that.
Oh, she might though.
Well, I don't
You
think.
can't.
But the
Probably she would if Bridget and them weren't
Weren't
here. She
there.
probably,
Yeah.
or if we're in the basement where we didn't have a place,
Sure.
she would get won't hold it necessarily.
Yeah,
Because we haven't worked on
I think
worked
she
on a
would
place
hold it.
command
sure.
she would
with
hold
people
it,
in the middle of an active setting.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done we've done plays with people coming over, but now we haven't done anything where it's like you're holding this place, this person's gonna get up and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Make sure you hold it.
Yeah, and it's not like the people and our guests shouldn't be concerned about what the dog's going to do. We should have reliability within our training that she knows she cannot leave that place. And let's say we are having a lot of people over, and it's totally okay to put her in her crate. It's totally okay to remove her from the situation because we turn our back and that one friend is up in her face, or people just sometimes can't respect your boundaries. So it's okay when we have the baby and we're getting used to it to do not only place time, but let's say like we've had a rough night, we put her in her crate, and it's okay for her to spend a couple hours in her crate, which is why I would suggest starting to crate her while you're home now. So she's getting used to it. There's not a lot of screaming and barking and carrying on, that she's as comfortable in her crate as she is on this bed right now. And the way that we make children and dogs work is it's always supervised. And like you said, you turn your back for 1 second. So we'd likely try to avoid situations like that. So you have a lot of time before that happens when your baby's like mobile enough to start like grabbing the ears. But that's definitely something that we have to monitor.
Tiny people, so
Well, she probably ain't gonna go around him though. Cause she don't go around
Yeah.
anybody. Maybe she would around kids. You haven't had her around any
Yeah.
kids? She don't,
Bruce, she was.
One time and she
Yeah.
was holding him.
Yeah.
And it was
But
very
he
very
doesn't
in and
like
out.
dogs
Yeah, and it was
either.
very in and out. Bruce was in and
Yeah.
around animals.
I just
Sure.
wonder how she would be around. Maybe she'd be perfect, maybe that'd be her, you
That's the
know.
hope.
Well, yeah.
That they'll be
Children
best
are
friends.
like very unpredictable because their energy is just like they're jumping
wall,
and
yeah.
screaming and running, and that can be very triggering to a dog. So we have to look at what can we do to avoid the dog getting up suddenly or chasing the child, and that would be our play stay or our crate time, and having to do that. I wouldn't trust like, oh, maybe she'll like the children. That's up to us to navigate, and it's up to us to give her direction when it comes time that we have the baby or the baby's doing some tummy time on the floor. The dogs are monitored. Even Bailey, like,
Yeah.
I really think Bailey is just a very sweet dog, and she doesn't have the severity that Bella does, but we'd want to monitor that too.
So would it be
Oh,
better,
okay.
like, if one of us went back in for a moment and
Yeah.
then came back out?
Yeah, we can practice
Okay,
going
let
in
me
and
try
out.
that,
Yeah, you
see
think
what she
so?
does, just because I wanted to get more used to it.
So he's like, no.
She's like, excuse me, the food's right here.
Does she eat Lake Erie pet
Yes.
food too?
Yeah, but
Well, we give her wet food.
and she has the Lake Erie dry food.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Erie's great.
Yeah, I love them.
She was weird though. She's so.
She likes the cheap stuff more.
Yeah.
So when we tried to switch her to it, she was
I know. She does not like her food. Man.
Just have it now. So you stay, and I'm gonna get up and walk out. Should we do that, just
Yeah.
keep going? kind of
Yeah, we
back?
can get up and in and out a
You
couple of
stay,
times.
And then I'll get up, and then,
Well, we'll do this Shane and Emma.
right.
So don't say anything to them either. Just
Yep,
kinda
just ignore
it.
them.
later.
Is that, do you want us to go in next or?
Just for a bit.
You wanna do this?
We're coming.
See you
Excellent.
chewing, that's the first time I seen you chewing.
Oh, did you see all of us?
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
I
all
didn't see
Bella.
that one.
Oh,
And, like, we, like, have
Bella.
cushions. That's why they're covered and,
Sure.
and all kinds of stuff. Cause yeah, that was when trying to leave her uncrated.
Yes. Yep.
She did that. I think we had the couch for a week.
Okay. Okay.
Come on.
Come here.
Good girls.
Let's go say hi to everyone.
Good
Go say hi.
girl.
I know.